Hello, class. So today we're going to talk about Andrew Jackson. He is on the $20 bill. And Andrew Jackson was controversial at his time, and he is still controversial to this day. But he is a big departure from our presidents before him. All of the presidents before him were either founding fathers, or in the case of John Quincy Adams, the son of a founding father. So this very clear elite connection to the people who have been involved in the revolution. Andrew Jackson is going to be this big departure from this. So Andrew Jackson was born March 15th, 1767. He will die in June 8th, 1845. Now, when it comes to his home state, this is where things get a little bit interesting. Where Andrew Jackson is born is basically right on the border between North Carolina and South Carolina when they were colonies. So there have been both states that have claimed him to be one of theirs. When he is elected in national politics, he is going to be the senator from Tennessee, as well as previously he had been on the Tennessee Supreme Court. So an interesting array of what could be his home state. So Andrew Jackson is going to, unlike some of these other men, be too young to actually fight in the revolution, so to speak. However, he is going to be a teenager when the revolution comes to town. There's going to be an incident in which British soldiers come to their house. They harass Jackson's mother. Then the soldier demands Jackson shine his shoes. Jackson refuses, so he gets hit with a sword. That's going to give him a scar for his whole life. But he's going to be completely orphaned by age 14. He's going to kind of have to make it on his own for himself. So he's going to head out west to what is then the frontier. So this is where Kentucky, Tennessee, where he's going to get his place. And he's going to actually be like a self-taught lawyer. But his big thing's going to be in the military. He's going to fight lots of wars against Native Americans as we're seeing their expansion. What is going to bring him to national prominence is when he was a major general in the War of 1812. In the final battle of the war, January of 1815, he is going to lead troops in the Battle of New Orleans, in which the British unsuccessfully tried to invade Louisiana territory. And Andrew Jackson's going to throw a lot of things together to make that work. He is going to get materials from local pirates. His people fighting are going to be a multiracial group. There are going to be free black men. There are going to be newly freed slaves. There are going to be Native Americans, all there. Now, the War of 1812, they actually had signed a treaty ending it before the Battle of New Orleans, but the word travels slowly. So what most Americans heard is the war is over from that treaty. At the same time, the news is coming about the Battle of New Orleans. So it makes it seem like Jackson's won this. So for his party, I'm going to go with Democrat because Andrew Jackson is the founder of the modern Democratic Party. By the point that he's getting into politics to be president, it's a one-party state, the Democratic Republicans, but they have all these different types of factions fighting amongst themselves. And when he loses to John Quincy Adams, he is going to embrace what had previously been kind of the insult of the Democratic, as if that was related to mob rule. He's going to embrace the Democrat. Okay? And so there's going to be Jacksonian Democrats against the National Republicans, and you'll see the split with John Quincy Adams people eventually becoming Whigs. His term of office is going to be March 4th, 1829 to March 4th, 1837. He is not going to seek a third term, even though he could. He is going to have two vice presidents. One is John C. Calhoun, who was already vice president under John Quincy Adams. He got reelected being vice president. And him and Andrew Jackson do not get along whatsoever. And John C. Calhoun is actually going to resign during the nullification crisis. And then he will be replaced in his second term with Martin Van Buren. So other accomplishments, Andrew Jackson. He said he is a war hero. He is going to be the first military governor of Florida, somewhat self-appointed to that, as he's conquering Spanish possessions there. When he is president, though, he will run into the nullification crisis, in which Congress passes a tariff, they call it Tariff of Abominations, that would have, in theory, benefited the North more than the South. So South Carolina says, we're just not going to follow it. We're going to nullify this law because we don't like it. And this leads to a crisis. And so Andrew Jackson, slave owner, okay, has run into these states' rights arguments. But he also believes that you can't just ignore a law that you don't agree with. So he says, if anybody in South Carolina breathes a word about secession, I will go down there myself and hang them from the highest tree. So this kind of that kind of gets dealt with. It's going to lead to him losing his vice president. Now, during his term, Andrew Jackson is going to be the only U.S. president to get rid of the national debt. And he accomplishes this by selling some federal lands to pay down. But literally, no other president has actually gotten rid of our debt. As I said before, he is basically the founder of the Democratic Party. Politics will be centered around whether or not you like Andrew Jackson. And then Andrew Jackson was involved in several different duels in his life. And in one instance, a man accused Andrew Jackson's wife of bigamy because she had previously been married and then married Andrew Jackson. He took this as an insult. They challenged the duel. The other man shot first, and it wounded Jackson but did not kill him. And then Andrew Jackson shot and killed this man. Those are the rules of the duel. So Andrew Jackson just fundamentally changes politics because it is no longer, he wants to be seen as embracing the common man and these populist ideas. And this is the backdrop of this very elite group of men that preceded him. And so after he's president, he is an elder statesman. He's kind of a kingmaker within the Democratic Party about their policy positions and where they're going to go ahead after that.